Oh, that's him. About to hop in for some red snapper. Everyone's gearing up. Caught a couple hook and line. Got a little nice pile of chum going. We're gonna switch over to the mast cam in a minute and see if there are some big old red snapper hanging around down there.
First thing I like to do in the water is just kind of get some bait flowing around, get an idea of how clear the water is and what kind of fish we're going to be looking at on this dive and just how much life there is in the area. So I first got in, loaded up the gun, had some sharks coming up right away, and we weren't really looking to do the shark and cobia thing, but we did see one little cobia on the shark, so we checked it out. But again, that's not what we were looking for. We were not trying to attract sharks. We actually didn't want to deal with sharks. We were looking for the red snappers. So once the sharks kind of moved out a little bit, with some chum flowing down, and I made a kind of like a little drop down. I started drifting down through the chum, and you could see all the snappers, mangroves, and reds kind of looking at the chum, but again, this wasn't like a really big breath. I wasn't ready to drop all the way down and try to get one of the snappers, but it was a really good thing to see that we were in a good spot. There was a lot of life around there. So I kind of just checked it out, headed back up to the top, and reported back. So the first dive's out of the way. I know what to expect when I'm dropping down this time, and we're looking to put some fish in the boat. So I'm drifting down really, really slow. I hardly kick when I do this. I just want to kind of drift down with the chum, not appear as a threat to the fish, and just start to slowly close the gap between me and the snapper that are down there. You'll see they are interested in the chum, they are eating it, and they're definitely keeping their distance though. So as I drift down, I kind of picked one out, but they were just not letting me get close, so I went really, really slow. I was just patient, and one of them got dumb enough. So there we go, we got our first fish in the boat, or our first fish for the boat, and it's not a giant, but it's a good fish. And he actually had a fishing line hanging out of his mouth, so someone had a shot at him, but he got away for at least a couple days until I was able to get him on the spear and swim him back over to the boat. You'll notice in a lot of the videos when I'm spearing, after I shoot a fish, I'll use the tip of my spear or I'll use the knife to quickly brain the fish and kill the fish. And what this does, besides obviously putting the fish out of its misery and taking care of it a lot faster, it makes it safe for times like this when I'm throwing them in the boat and there's people walking around a lot of the time barefoot. It just makes it so it's not a mess once the fish hits the deck of the boat and doesn't start flopping around. After we did a few drops on that last spot, we ended up moving to this new spot right here, and there was a lot more fish, and this is like the same thing I did on the last spot where I did that first drop down just to kind of check it out, see how the viz was, see what the deal is with the fish, and I didn't want to go too far down because I didn't have a good breath, but just wanted to check it out. So then I kind of popped up and, again, reported back.
I only had some small ones there, there's some slobs.
So now it's Scotty's turn to drop down, and just like I did on the last spot, you can see him here, which gives you a better perspective of it, or a better understanding. He's barely moving his feet. You can see he's just using his weight, couple kicks to get started, and then it's all a gliding motion, just real smooth, non-threatening, closing the gap between him and the fish and picking out the one he wants. You got a nice shot on a solid red snapper. I gave
spot,
Evan a little holler,
boy.
told him we were in a good spot, and now I'm just kind of watching his back, seeing what's going on, looking for sharks, and then really just getting ready to do a drop down because those fish are pretty solid down there.
There you go, Johnny.
Now that Scott has his fish under control, I don't got to worry about that now. Plus, Nick's up at the surface too to have his back if he did need any help. I start making a drop down and the fish are still there, but keep in mind, he just shot one of them, so they're very spooky and they left. They dipped out as soon as I started going down, but they know that food's there and they're gonna come back for that chum. So I just kind of hung around and used a different technique. Instead of aiming at a fish, I picked out a piece of chum that was gonna be closer to them and I aimed at the chum and waited and timed my shot. It worked perfect. You can see that fish came right in for that piece of chum, and all I had to do was time it, and I got a nice solid holding shot on a red snapper. Kind of as expected, after we shot a couple fish, we had a feeling that the men in the gray suits were going to be showing up, and they showed up right on schedule, but my brother was there to kind of back me up on that. So I didn't hit the fish where I like to. I normally like to get headshots, especially when we're selling fish. But if the fish was on the move, solid holding shot, landed the fish, can't complain too much. But there I go again, braining him with that spear, and you'll see the mouth pop open. That's how you kind of know you hit the right spot, and that fish has his lights turned out. Nice, quick, humane kill, and I don't got to worry about him struggling, especially with those sharks around. So we got a nice, solid pair of red snapper, just like that.
I'll just throw it, man. I don't want it. Pike, you guys. Ugh. Scotty's got a nice one too. Decent.
So we regrouped and redrifted, and Scott dropped in, and he started going down real slow, and I accidentally hit the camera off button because I didn't remember that I started recording, so you missed the actual shot. But then I did get him coming back up with a very, very nice red snapper, and he rolled that thing. He actually hit it with a true stone shot through the head, turned its lights out, and the fish immediately changed colors to white.
Slobs.
That's the best angle.
Oh yeah, look at that snapper.
This clip's pretty cool. So first Nick dropped down and hit a nice red snapper that came up in the chum. Came up super high, so that fish got bugged right away, and then we knew he didn't need any help with that. He was so close to the surface, and me and Scott made a drop down, and I just kind of wanted to do another shot where I'm filming Scott down there, and you can see all the big reds starting to come up, getting close to that chum, and Scott kind of picks one out, starts lining up on it. You can see which one it's already going to be, and takes the shot. Now the fish spook right away when he does that, but again, they're gonna come back. So I just kind of swim back up with him, make sure he's all good, no sharks, and everything's all good to go. After a real quick breathe up, the fish came up nice and high again, and I was able to drop back down and pick out one for myself. My plan was to pick out a piece of chum again and aim at it and wait for the fish that I wanted to go for it, but the fish totally faked me out right there. And then he started giving me a head-on shot, and I really hate those shots, but after being patient, the fish turned sideways for me a little bit and gave me a nice shot on it. So we just shot 3 nice fish really fast, and just as you would imagine, the shark showed up. Now, a lot of people in these situations, especially diving over in the Bahamas, I see it a lot. The sharks come in, and this shark is nowhere near the fish, and they just stop pulling. And that's like the last thing you want to do there. You want to get that fish away from the shark, get it to you so the shark doesn't get it. Otherwise, those sharks are going to be on you for the rest of the day, and it just trains them that divers are going to give them a free meal. So I pulled the shark in and did my best to keep the line away from getting wrapped up on me. I'm pushing most of it behind me, making sure it doesn't get wrapped up on my arms or legs. And I got the fish in, and the sharks did not get it.
Hey, get on us. No, get the boat. Big arses. Get in there.
There's slobs in that school.
Mine's not bad.
No, it's not.
There you go. They're filling up the box. That's all.
That's a nice one. Throw that bad boy in. Gut shot.
Big arses. Get in there.
Yep. Nice.
So here I am again, just kind of hanging out by the chum, waiting to get really, really close and not rushing anything. That fish gave me a shot for just a second, but I didn't like how far it was, and I wanted to get a real close shot because these fish looked like they were going to give me a really, really good shot. And then the school started swimming away. Once the school starts swimming away, you don't really have much of a shot if you start chasing them. So you're better off just sitting still and waiting for some fish to come back. And sure enough, that's what happened. This one came right in on me. You'll see again right away, as soon as I get a chance, I brain that fish, mouth pops open, that thing's no longer going to be struggling or suffering, and I can hand it to the guys in the boat and don't have to worry about it flopping around or poking one of them.
Here you go, Evan. Yeah. We got another red snapper. We got another red snapper.
That's a slob still.
Oh yeah, that's a nice one.
Woo!
There you go, buddy.
I'm fucking stoked on that. This is great.
So, we came out for some red snappers today. I think we're just about at our limit. We're gonna go ahead and weigh them up. This is a commercial trip, in case you haven't figured it out by now. I don't know if I said that in the beginning of the video or not. 75 pounds of red snapper is what we're going for. That one should put us right about there. We're gonna go ahead and weigh these things up and we'll get you guys a good look at them.
Yeah, you said come over there.
Woo!
Yeah, that might mean that you got something big.
Whoa! We got a mess of red snapper. We can go ahead and gut them all up, get some pics. That's the red snapper day. Quick work of it. Time to gut these things up and cruise on in.